Hi! Welcome back to You Have Got to Be Knitting Me. Today I'm filming a slightly different type of video. I'm filming a project highlight on this blanket that I have behind me in most of my videos. I've gotten a few comments asking about it, which I'm really excited to talk about because it kind of is my masterpiece. I worked really hard on this blanket, so I'm glad that people have noticed it. So this video is just going to be kind of a overview breakdown of this blanket. Okay, so the first thing that you need to know about this blanket is that it is extremely heavy and very large. So I'm a little bit worried about how it's going to be captured in this video. So as I'm talking about it, I'm going to have some photos and videos of it on the side so that you can see it in its entirety. But basically the overview of this video is I'm going to go into the construction of this blanket and just talk about how I made it. And then I'm going to quickly just touch on some things that I would change if I were ever to do this again. And just on that note, kind of my dream job would just to be knitting blankets like this, custom blankets like this, and people pay me large amounts of money to do that. So if you're seriously interested, hit me up. And so after I talk about what I would change if I ever were to do this again, I'm going to go into each panel individually and talk about kind of the design inspiration and just show each panel individually. So that's the overview of this video. Let's get started talking about the blanket. If I wasn't sweating before, I'm sweating now having this on my lap. Here it is. Woohoo! Crazy blanket. Okay, so construction breakdown. This blanket is made out of 25 panels, Intarsia colorwork panels that are double-sided and then sewn together like this. So when I knit this, there was the ET on one side and the checkerboard on the other side. It was cast on all as one project, and then I just folded it together and seamed on 3 sides to make it this double-sided. And then on the inside is the is like where all the ends are woven in / tied in knots, etc. So that is the blanket's basic construction, and there's 25 of these. That is something I would do different. I think if I was going to sell these a little bit more commercially, I would do either 20 or 16 just because of the sheer weight of this. It being double-sided is very heavy, where obviously this is such a beautiful art project. I don't really know if I would have it on my bed, but also the few times I've slept under it, it's been a little bit suffocating. So yeah, that's the construction. It's all knit on size 5 needles. All of the yarn is Wool of the Andes worsted from Knit Picks. Size 5 needles. I'm almost positive the charts were 60 stitches by 90 rows. So 60 stitches by 90 rows, and then the checkerboard is another 60 stitches across. So when I cast it on, it'd be 120 stitches, 60 of them being the Intarsia or the panel chart, the ET, then there would be a stitch marker in the middle, and then there would be the checkerboard. So I designed all of the charts on Stitch Fiddle. I'm never going to share my charts because I designed this myself, but I designed all my charts on Stitch Fiddle. If you want to try this yourself, that's where I design all of my colorwork projects, on Stitch Fiddle. Also, okay, I designed this whole blanket not on Stitch Fiddle Premium, and I was just like, you know, when you don't have premium of something that you maybe use a lot and you are really like good at like tricking it into getting what you want. And so like you could only have a certain number of saved projects on Stitch Fiddle if you weren't on the premium, and so I would delete all of my panels after I knit them. So I definitely have the charts somewhere on my computer, but they're no longer on my Stitch Fiddle account where I can just edit them. And so I made through the whole project without Stitch Fiddle Premium. Then I was working on another Intarsia project, and they finally got me that I couldn't choose the number of pages that I was downloading the document into, which is really important for how I have my Intarsia patterns on my iPad. So basically I recently upgraded to Stitch Fiddle Premium, and it only cost $33 for the whole year. I really think maybe it would have been worth it if I was designing this. Maybe if I just coughed up that $33, I would have been able to still have my charts on my account, among other things. So that's just a little plug against my will for Stitch Fiddle Premium. It is very good for designing charts, but I was just a little annoyed that it was just a little bit of money that I was putting off spending. Anyway, that's why I don't have my charts anymore. I do have my charts, but they're just not that accessible. Okay, so that's the construction of the blanket. Also, I did, okay, so they're all individual and then seamed together. Before this, I wasn't super confident in my seaming, and actually I think this was really good practice and really helped me because I really wanted them to be super aligned and lined up, and I think I did a really good job with that. So they're just like mattress stitched together, and the same with the seaming. The individual panels like this is still mattress stitch, and then for the border, I just did a scallop edge crochet stitch, which I think is such a pretty way, kind of a unique way to finish a blanket, and I think the black brings everything together. So that is the general construction of this blanket. They are all different checkerboards, so everyone is a different combination. That's what the back looks like. I'll show you, actually, I'll completely show you the back. That's what the back looks like. So just to go into things that I would change, just how I cast on, I now know how to cast on with multiple colors. So I would do that differently. I would have it so the purl bump isn't here. Just the seaming on the back, I think, is the biggest thing I would change. And then the other thing, like I said, I would probably have it just a smaller dimension so that it's more of a manageable piece to have in your home. And also there are a few, I guess I'll get more into this when I'm going through them individually, but there are a few that are just like color contrast needed to be considered a little bit more. And there's a few that I just think if I change some of the colors a little bit, they would be a little bit easier to read or easier to see. So all that being said, let's get into the individual panels. This is the fun part. Okay, so I'm just going to show you them in the way that they appear in the blanket rather than the order that I knit them, because that's going to be a little bit hard to figure out. But the other thing I was going to say is, I'm going to put pictures of them so when I'm holding it and you can't even see because it's all stretched, I'm going to take nice pictures of each individual square so you can see them, and I'll have them over here or over here. Okay, so the first one that I have is actually the second one that I knit ever, and it is significantly bigger than the other ones. I think that just has to do with my comfortability knitting Intarsia, and my gauge just changed, but I had to stretch all of them to match this one because this one was a lot bigger. But this just is ET, and it says "Be Good" at the bottom. The first thing that ET says to Drew Barrymore. I love ET, he's my muse. I have so many ET stuffed animals, and how I made this one and a few other ones on Stitch Fiddle, you can just upload photos, and the chart is really, usually when you do that, the chart is a total mess, and then I just go on to my iPad and clean it up. And so I uploaded a photo of ET onto Stitch Fiddle, changed it so my chart dimensions matched what I wanted, and then went and cleaned up so it was a clear ET, and then I just added, by hand, I added the "Be Good." I just drew that into the chart. So, yeah, that's ET, and I think this came out so good. I think this was bold to try for my second one, but it came out so good. Next, we have this ghost. The ghosts are regular characters in this blanket. They come up a few times. This one is just simply frolicking through a field with beautiful rolling green hills and mushrooms. A little bit of an inspiration for my cow sweater that I knit this year. I really like the rolling hills and mushrooms. Kind of a precursor to this blanket, I knit a scarf that was a little bit similar. If I can find some pictures, I will put some pictures in, but it's really deep in my knitting chest dungeon kind of projects that don't really see the light of day very often. But this chart I used from that scarf and just changed the reflection in the mirror. The reflection in the mirror, I think, for the scarf was like a beauty queen. And this one is the devil, so I think that might be me because we have the same color hair, but the devil is looking back at me in the mirror, hopefully telling me to have some fun, do something crazy but not destructive. Yeah, so that's that one. Some of these are a bit self-explanatory. This one just says Monty Python Live at the Hollywood Bowl, 1982. I love Monty Python, and Live at the Hollywood Bowl is my favorite one of their medias. I love that movie. So yeah, that one's pretty self-explanatory. And the checkered of this one is Christmas. Okay, this one is another one where I uploaded a photo. I just uploaded a photo of Kermit in this pose and then just drew the drag Kermit the drag queen over like, or I drew in the dress and the nails and the shoes and the hair. And yeah, so it's just Kermit as a drag queen, super cute. And I really like the colors on this one. So, and the wig hair is so fun. Here's just a deserted room. I guess there's a few of these in here as well, a few empty rooms. Watching a, maybe a scoop. Okay, so I designed this, but I also have some questions here. I think that my inspiration was Young Frankenstein because that's my favorite movie, but Young Frankenstein's black and white. So I feel like maybe they're watching Scooby-Doo instead because this is in color, but it's just a haunted house on their TV. And I like how the furniture is really ugly colors. Like the maroon and red and green is like kind of garish. So I like that style. There's a little ashtray burning. Somebody was just enjoying a spooky movie and left the room. Next one, we have this sad juggling clown. I love clowns and I like the color scheme of this one, and I think it's kind of funny that he's juggling but sad. I kind of want to use this chart and put it on a shirt or a tank top or something because I just really like the way this looks. This next one is a little breakfast plate with eggs and bacon and toast with a bite out of it. Really simple but really cute. I had this one before the blanket was finished. I had this one hanging, like I sewed it like a tapestry and had it on my wall in my apartment in Belfast in my room. Yeah, so this one saw a lot of light before it was in the blanket. Okay, this one we're getting a little political. This was the first one in the blanket. It was also quite large, like the ET one. Again, I just guess I was getting a little bit more comfortable with my tension with Intarsia knitting. But this one was inspired by Roe versus Wade being overturned, and it was bands off our bodies with a ferocious wolf defending our rights, reproductive rights. And if this wolf saw what was happening in our country now, probably would be even more ferocious. So yeah, she reminds me to stay ferocious in these trying times, I guess. Yeah, that's this panel. This is one of the ones that I would change color contrast wise. It's just very hard to read, and this is Girl Boss, but I think it's quite hard to read in comparison to the rest of the colors. But in here we have Annie from Misery. I can't remember what the guy's name is in Misery, but she's going to go hobble him. She has her axe ready. It just says Girl Boss because Annie does get things done regardless of maybe what's motivating her. She's definitely crazy, but I love her. So that is this one. Just would change so you can read the text a little bit more. This one's actually one of the last ones, and I love how detailed it is. I think it shows that I got a lot more confident designing myself, not using pictures, because this one I just drew on my iPad. But here's a ghost. Maybe he's hosting a guest, serving them some cherry pie on this cute little pink plate. I love the wall. What's this called? Not wall hanging plant. I love the terracotta pot. I think it's so cute. And a little sunny day outside. I love this ghost. I think he is a very good ghost host, giving his guest pie. All right, this one looks self-explanatory, but it is a reference to Big Mouth. It says this blanket is a feminist, And I love Big Mouth, but I haven't watched the most recent, I haven't watched the final season. But my favorite character on Big Mouth is Elliot, who is the dad that Fred Armisen voices. And there's just a scene, and it's not mentioned at all, but there's just a scene in one of the seasons where he's wearing an apron that is this color, peach with yellow text, and it says this apron is a feminist. And it's like, what does that mean? And I just love how it was like never mentioned. So that is what this is referencing. And this blanket is also a feminist, so that's that. This mountain scene was the last panel made, and I was definitely using it to get rid of some colors. I used a lot of greens on these pine trees, but this just is not inspired by something particularly, not a particular location, but this is just a New Hampshire day where I spent a lot of my time in my early 20s. Just a beautiful New Hampshire day on the lake with a rainbow. Looks very peaceful. I would love to be there. Here is a little cowboy guy who has fallen in love. I think he saw a handsome cowboy from across the saloon, maybe across those weird half swinging doors that saloons have in movies. He saw a handsome cowboy and was really love struck. And I love whatever this geological construction term is, and also the sunrise or sunset I think looks really nice. This is getting really hard to hold. Here is another solo room. This person has abandoned their bottle of wine and glass of wine that they're enjoying alone. And there's this little city scene, and I think the city tells a whole nother story because I like to think an artist lives here. So all of the houses have dark windows except for this one. It's still working through the night. So I think an artist works there, maybe knitting through the night. Here we have a simple walrus, but I think this one came out so good. The yarn for the walrus fur is like such a beautiful, like marbled red and gold. I love it. And it's just inspired by, I love the movie Tusk with Justin Long, where he gets turned into a walrus. If you haven't seen that movie, people don't like it. A lot of people don't like it, but I love it and I think it's really funny. So this was inspired by the movie Tusk. Here we have a delicious Guinness. I knit most of this blanket while I was living in Ireland. I would say like maybe 2 or 3 of the panels were made in America. So that's why I have this delicious Guinness, which looks very good. Representing my time in Ireland for better or for worse. Okay, this panel says exercise your right to goof around. Around the time that I was designing these panels, I saw a photo of Fozzie Bear, and then the caption said exercise your right to goof around, and I'm not sure if that's a Fozzie Bear quote or just they were just put together, but I agree with that sentiment. And oh, and this one is special. I'm glad I remembered. This one is the only one that is not uniform checkered. This is the goofy one. Exercise your right to goof around. That was extra goofy and added crazy colors on this one. Here are just some simple strawberries. Pretty cute. I love this green, this blue toned green I think is so pretty. I love whenever it shows up in projects. Here's the last of the ghost for now. These two have company for once, but are just enjoying a campfire. Yeah, looks nice. Okay, we've made it to the last row. This one's another one, color contrast, bit of an issue. It says, I'm so sick and tired of this handmade shit. I think it's funny because I'm never sick and tired of handmade shit. Yeah, I just think it's funny. I wish it was easier to read. But I love this lace. This is Lady Slipper, Wool of the Andes, and I think it's so pretty. I love it. I put it in every project. This one might look familiar. It is the same panel as The Devil in the Mirror, but I replaced the mirror with a candelabra. It reminds me of in Young Frankenstein when she's like, the staircase can be treacherous with her candelabra. I guess that's what inspired that, but I like doing little flames. Yeah. This one we have a pink mirror ball, disco ball. This blanket was knit in the Height of the Eras tour. In the scarf, there's also a disco ball, a gray one that has some sparkling colored reflective little things, but this one's all pink. Yeah, super cute. Here we have another abandoned room. This one is bright red, a little rough on the eyes, with this bright pink sky outside. The sun must be setting in kind of an aggressive way, but here are 2 cups of tea cooling, with kind of a crazy weather outside and a really bright room. This was one of the first ones too, a little less detailed. Our final one, we have a little garden gnome resting on a mushroom with this beautiful yellow hazy sky. I like the clouds especially, and garden gnomes are always something I like to have around because they remind me of the All Things Must Pass George Harrison album, which is a very important album to me, so I love little garden gnomes. And yeah, this one's just sitting on a mushroom and it's super cute. Okay, so that is the overview of my magical Intarsia blanket from my dreams. This was really one of my favorite projects ever to make, and I would love to knit another one like this whenever I have the inspiration or the means. If you have more questions about this blanket, I made a few TikToks about it, or you can comment on this video and maybe I'll make like a Q&A about the blanket if people are interested. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. It's really great to be able to talk about something that I love so much. I love Intarsia knitting. I love being creative. I love color work. Thanks for watching. Bye.